Welcome back. Kendall here for Renos for Pros and Joes, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to install an ice maker water line onto a Samsung refrigerator. Now the instructions that I'm going to share with you today will work for most refrigerators, but I did want to go ahead and notate what type of refrigerator it is just in case that's what you're working with at home. So the first thing I also want to disclose is that in this particular installation we're working inside of a property that has been completely updated, including its plumbing system. So when I slide the refrigerator back, you are going to see an ice maker waterline box recessed in the wall. So that's what we're going to be connecting to. So this is going to be a fairly basic, straightforward install. There's actually two different types of materials that are typically used for running ice maker waterline. One is going to be the traditional style braided line that you typically are used to seeing connecting up like the water line to a commode or even underneath sinks and things like that. Today we're going to be using a different style of connection, and that is going to be polyethylene. And that is going to be the white, skinny, harder tubing that you sometimes see. So that's what we're going to be working with today. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So the first thing we have to do is move our refrigerator out. And so as you can see, this refrigerator is actually slidden back into a recessed area designed specifically for this refrigerator. So we're gonna slide this out so that we can have some space to see all of our connections and everything and some areas for us to work. So let's start by doing that. So as we're doing this, we wanna make sure that we're gonna slide our refrigerator out straight and slowly because we don't wanna have any type of issues getting it back in the hole. So as you can see here, I'm pulling and it's sliding, 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 sliding. You want to pull it straight out because usually these recessed areas are designed so that they're very tight on both sides. So you need to make sure that you got your refrigerator pulled out straight so that you can slide it straight back in when you're done. Okay, so this refrigerator is completely unplugged in the back. I'm going to keep sliding it out so that we can see what's back here in our workspace. Okay, so now that we've got the refrigerator pulled out, we can kind of look around and see what we've got in here. So here we've got our recessed ice maker waterline box here. And then here we've got our connection on the back of our refrigerator. So these are the two connections that we're going to be making. So now let's take a second to see what's inside of our packaging. Some of the things that come in here are not going to apply or will not be used in this type of installation. So I'm going to show you everything that comes in here. But because we've got an updated system, the majority of the contents in here, or I should say a good portion of the contents in here, we will not have to use. And some issues here just opening the thing up. Let's see if I can. Take a key here. Okay, we've got our instructions there. Now here's our polyethylene hose. This is a 25 feet, which is way more than we need. And then here's our connections. So within this particular application, the only connection that we're actually going to need is the one that connects to the ice maker water line, because everything else is in place. As I showed you before, we've already got our new connection here in the wall, and that's actually already got a compression fitting on it. So we can just feed our existing piece in there and make that work. This is the other piece that we need here. So really, let me show you what this looks like. So when I show you this piece right here, You can see that it's got a dual connection on here to make two pieces fit together. But because of the way that we're going to be installing here, we're going to be connecting here. The only part of this that we need is just one side of it. So we're going to disconnect one side of this, including this piece here, and then thread this on to our hose here, and then connect it down, and we should be good. So let me show you how this is going to work. So we'll start by unfastening some of this, and really what I'll probably do is just try to, I may have started from the wrong side here. I'm gonna see if we can just kind of back some of this out instead of having to unwind the whole thing, because as you can see, we don't need a gazillion feet of water line here with this type of setup. So we'll just pull out what we think we need in a worst case scenario. As I said, this particular setup right here is 25 feet. Not sure what the next one down was, but it must have been substantially shorter. So in any case, we've got this one, or maybe it didn't have all the parts to it. Something led us to getting this one. So here we've got a water line, and I think that's probably nearly long enough. We'll pull out just a little bit more, one more length of it, just for good measure. Trying to make sure we don't kink it up here. And then we'll go ahead and make the connection on this end. Okay, so in this type of application, you can use a pipe tape. I'm not going to be using that. I'm just going to be using a pipe thread sealant. I'm losing parts here. As I said, I'm going to be using a pipe thread sealant like this. And these are the parts that I wanted to show you. And so with this, you can see there, it's hard to see, but this end is not really cut quite as straight as I would like for it to be cut. This end, if you can see, is a little bit more level. That may be hard for you to see, but I prefer it to be as level as possible. So it may not end up making a huge deal in the end, but I like to at least start out knowing that I've done my part to make sure that this thing doesn't have any issues. So let me grab some scissors real quickly. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this with regards to cutting this tubing. It's not extremely difficult to cut. So I could show you something like this, which I just put a cut on it like that. Just made it a little bit more level. Let's see if we can make it a little cleaner. Now that was a pair of needle nose pliers. Now I've got these. This is a pair of pruning shears. I'm just showing you some of the different tools that we can use to make the cut. That actually made equally as good of a cut. And then I've even got some bolt cutters here. This may be overkill. Let's just see, but it should cut it just fine. Let's see. Yeah, it did. So it cut it just fine too. So I've given you 3 options right there. And really standard office scissors should also do a pretty good job. I'm gonna go ahead and clip this thing one more time. Make sure I pick that up. So I've got my piece cut like this. Remember that I initially showed you this piece right here. And it unscrews, really both sides unscrew, but as I said, for what we need, we only need one side of this. So we're gonna unscrew this. And then we're gonna take our water line here. This is the end that we've just cut here. And then we're going to slide this piece down through there. See that? So you have our threads facing out this way so that we can screw this part down. And then we're gonna take this piece, this connection piece, and this goes inside of the tube. And you wanna just push it all the way down in there. Okay, and then we're going to feed this back up on there. So if you look here closely, you can see that we're all the way in there with that. If you don't think you're all the way in there, you can back up and just make sure that you're all the way in. And then you can slide this piece up. So now we've slidden this piece up over the end, and we're ready to go now. And so as an added step, I'm going to just add a little bit of pipe thread sealant to this, just to help ensure that I've got a good connection here. Some people use pipe tape, that's fine too. I'm going to disconnect my tape here so that I can have a little bit more room to play with. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of pipe thread sealant around here. Some folks don't use it. Some people prefer Teflon tape. You know, it's really your preference. When doing stuff like this, I always just prefer to take the added steps on the front end to ensure that it's not going to leak. And it only takes a couple extra seconds, and this is just kind of something that I always end up having with me anyway, is going to be some pipe thread sealant or having some type of Teflon tape available. So I've got this on here, got it on there kind of quite a bit of it actually, but I don't actually have any on the inside of my pipe there. If you can see that, it's clean on the inside. So the next thing I want to do is take my connection here like that, and then we're going to place that on top, and we're just going to just screw that down on here and tighten by hand. Now that didn't go on very far, if you notice that. Now I'm going to get one more tool here to complete this connection on this end. Now that I've got this on here, we want to make sure that we go righty tighty, lefty loosey. That this is actually pretty tight here, and I'm just going to wipe off this excess. So we've got that piece of it. I'm just going to wipe that off, clean that up just a little bit so we don't get gook and stuff everywhere. So we've got that nice and clean there. So we've made our connection there. If you choose to, you can put that back up there if you want to. Now I think we've got ample length here to do what we need to do. So we're just gonna mark our spot here, which is gonna be right here. Cut that one. Now this is extra. You can use this on your next job, if there is a next job. Try to get some of our kinks and everything out of there. So now I'm going to unscrew this portion off of the box in the wall, and it comes with its own ring. Now this one's set up just slightly different, but still the same principle of compression. So we're going to slide this piece on through here. Remember, we've got our threads are going to be showing on this side and just a cap on this side. So now we take this piece here, and you may have to work it to get it up on there a little bit, but we've got it on there. And then this side's a little bit different. Try to make sure we got it straight as possible there. So now you can see that this portion here is threaded. We've got this piece here. We've got the ring here that we slid up onto our piece of hose here. And then we've got our threaded part down here on this washer. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this part and we're going to push it into this hole here, into the hole here on this threaded piece. And we're going to push it in all the way in. And then we're going to try to push this up to where the opening is on it, and then we're going to tighten this down onto that. So before I do that, I want to put a little bit of thread sealant on this one as well, and let's just try to be a little less generous this time than on the other part. It doesn't take much. So we do that. Just try to rub that in. keep it out of the inside. Got that on there. Now we're gonna take this part. As you can see, I'm fishing that part in there. I've got it all the way in. So I've got the hose all the way in there, and as you can see, I've got everything backed off, so you can see my ring is way back here. So I've got the hose in there as far as it will go. Now I'm going to push that up, and then I'm gonna follow up by pushing this up. And this is gonna create my compression. Let me get my old-timey pliers here and just put a very light, slight turn on it. Very light. If you notice, this one actually turns a lot more than on the refrigerator. This is kind of hard to grab here. Small adjustable wrench would have probably been a little bit easier to manage, but it's fine. It just takes a little bit more effort, but it's fine. The one thing you want to make sure is that you don't bump this and turn it on before you've got it tightened down the way that you want it. And so I've got this on here. Tightening it down good. Don't want to over tighten it. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our connection here. And it goes this way and this way and this way and this way and up over here. So we've got that connection. So all we need to do now is get out of the way, turn the water on, and check for leaks. So let's see what we got. So all we have to do now is turn on our water supply here. And if you saw that, you saw that line jolt there. That was the pressure of the water going into the line. So as we're looking here, we're looking here, we're looking here, we want to look for leaks here. See if you have any type of water coming out here. Make sure that we've got a good watertight connection there. Don't see any leaks so far there. Let's go over here and check this one out. Well, this one's kind of, our valve here is kind of shiny. We want to make sure that what we're looking at is gloss and not water. So I'm checking that out. It's dry. So both of these connections are bone dry. So we can go ahead and put our tools away and get ready to slide everything back in place. So as you can see, I left enough slack on here to be able to pull it out from the wall and not have to worry about it being too short. And I also did leave it taped up here. That's going to make it easier to keep this cord up off of the floor with the length that we have here. And as I mentioned before, this is extra. So if you're in the habit of installing ice maker water lines, you've got some for your next job or two. The other connection, or the other half of this connection piece, is actually enough to install another refrigerator ice maker water line that is set up just like this one. So if you've already got the connection in the wall and this portion of it here has not been lost, then all you need is the other side of this, and you can actually install two. Well, at least two. You may have enough line left on this after your second install. Just go ahead and buy one more set up like this and do one more. So you can find some savings there. So in any case, we check it one more time. It's dry, dry here. We're dry there underneath the bottom. So we're good to go. So as a precautionary step, because of the property where I am today, I'm going to leave this water shut to the off position, but they can turn it back on whenever they get ready. Let's slide this thing back in place. I'm gonna give you one more tip. Okay, and so one final note with regards to setting up a refrigerator ice maker water line is if you are running your refrigerator for the first time, which means it's brand new, typically if you have water in your door, it's going to advise you to run several gallons of water through your refrigerator before using the water that comes out of the door. And I believe this is also good practice, even if your refrigerator does not have a water in the door feature and still makes ice cubes. So as the ice is being made for the first time, it's going to be good practice to allow that ice maker to cycle through a full ice making run, dump out all that ice and let it make 2 or 3 more buckets of ice and dump those out before you begin using the ice that comes out of the refrigerator. And I think that's just a good rule of thumb to keep in mind when you're setting up your refrigerator. Also, the same thing is true with replacing the water line. You never know what type of filaments and things like that could be inside of the piping that you buy for your water line. So this is a good opportunity to flush that out to help ensure that you're getting good, clean drinking water and good water for your ice cubes. So hopefully you found this video informative. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.